Alright everyone, it's time for debate shenanigans. Yes, J.D. Vance and Tim Walz will officially be debating on the 1st of October. There's also a presidential debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris that will be taking place in September. The Trump campaign challenged Kamala Harris to 3 presidential and 2 vice presidential debates. Nonetheless, they come out with a release the other day trying to deflect because, you know, they're on defensive footing with that one, because they don't want Kamala Harris going out before the public too often. And they say, well, done, the debate over debates is over. Donald Trump agreed to 2 debates, and that's what we'll have. Well, yeah, but, I mean, one of them doesn't count, because he wasn't debating the nominee. So you only want, technically, 1 debate. I don't think that there's a second one slated, actually. If there is, he's asking for 3. There should be a dedicated town hall-style debate, in which people from the public can ask the candidates, you know, questions and stuff like that. It looks like it's not going to happen. Vance wants 2 vice presidential debates. Walz agreed to 1. JD, you know, he decided to go with that. But he's asking for a second. But the Kamala Harris campaign is acting like it's the Donald Trump campaign that doesn't want a debate, which is very, very strange, because Kamala Harris still hasn't held a presser in over 3 weeks. She's hiding Harris, actually. We finally got her economic policy on record. It's not exactly a good one. I explained that in today's first video. Oh my God, you've got to see it. Read it for yourself. Make sure to read through the whole thing. Then see the reaction from the influencer liberals over on Twitter and places like that. It's like glowing praise. She's a genius. Yeah, let's cause a housing crisis and a recession at the same time. So that's sort of like the Great Recession. You remember that one? Right at the end of George W. into most of Obama's term. You remember how lovely that was? Watching everything in your town dry up and die. Didn't affect big urban areas quite so much, but small town America got fucking decimated. Anyone living in the burbs or small town America that's voting for the Kamala ticket based just on their economic policy alone would have to be fucking batshit. I don't understand why more people can't see this. We're talking about literal batshittery with regards to that particular proposal. I'm not sure exactly where she stands on foreign policy most of the time, but we can probably infer it'd be about as coherent as Biden's foreign policy, including at least 1 hot war. I guarantee she would start one. Yeah, they're officially going to debate, though. This is going to be like watching a baby seal get clubbed, like with the first presidential debate, hopefully the first of 3 instead of 2. I think J.D. Vance will easily defeat Tim Walz. One thing he can't do is get too bogged down in the stolen valor thing. Tim Walz is better spoken than Kamala Harris. Maybe not as much as J.D. Vance, but he is capable of debating. You need to focus on things like saying socialism equals neighborliness. Tie him into the far left. Might actually win the Kamala ticket, some of those Gaza voters, but the general public doesn't really want socialism. Tie him down with his own words. At this point, everyone's got a long, long trail on social media. This can be exploited for the purposes of debate. Just find 5 or 6 things that Tim Walz has said that would generally be unpalatable to the independent voters and focus on those. You can bring up his military career, like Vance also served, so he can say, like, I was in the military, I never abandoned my troops. Ta-da! That's a cheap shot, but it's a good one with certain voting blocks. You know, remind people, hey, Tim Walz basically skipped out on his men and refused to deploy and got demoted as a result of this and stuff like that. That's perfectly fine, but don't dwell on it. If that becomes the crux of the debate, then J.D. Vance will lose. He needs to focus on what Tim Walz has said in his own words. Again, Tim Walz literally posted once that socialism equals neighborliness. This man is an extremist. No, socialism equals a stepping stone to death camps and shit like that. It's not what you want. He could bring up the NSDAP as well and say, well, you know, those National Socialists, Tim, that who you siding with? Here, I've got a Jerry helmet for you. Here's your steel hand grenade, or something like that. That would be very funny. I suspect that J.D. Vance will easily prevail. He seems reasonably intelligent. He's definitely well-spoken, more than Walz. He has an advantage in the charisma department over Walz. That's why they're trying to astroturf him as weird, because they can't attack his legit stage presence, and they can't attack his coherence, and they can't bring up the age question because Vance is relatively young by political standards. They can't bring up any of these things. And Kamala is barely beginning to flesh out anything resembling a campaign platform, so they can't really debate on the issues so much. Trump, if anything, has overloaded his platform and made it almost grotesquely large, whereas Kamala, you know, she hides in the broom closet most of the time. If they can't attack any of these things, all you say is, well, you're weird. What about the couch incident and stuff like that? It's just petulant bullshit. Some of the public will be taken in by that, but I like to think, maybe I'm an eternal optimist. I'm not black, this is not a black pill channel. Maybe I'm too optimistic sometimes. I like to believe that the American public is intelligent enough to see through the bullshit that is the Kamala Walz campaign. The facades, the homework stealing, the shitty ideas, of which there are many, and the virulence, the venom behind the campaign, plus the astroturfing. It's the most disingenuous campaign I've seen, and, you know, I was there for the Clinton v. Trump campaign as well. Hillary Clinton looks like a goddamn kindergarten tea party compared to Kamala Harris and the ops that she's running. God, maybe Hillary should have tried harder. She probably would have won. By the way, again, she's was 5 points ahead of where Kamala is currently. Yeah, Kamala's enthusiasm. Woohoo, 1 point lead. Yeah, that's impressive. It's totally not within the margin of error or anything like that. I have a feeling she's going to get crushed. I'm actually exuberant over this campaign. At the moment, if the election were held today, Trump would win. That's the long and short of it. Watching Vance and Walz debate, and I will be watching, I'll probably react to it live, will be a treat, because seeing Tim Walz get hanged by his own words, if J.D. Vance shows up in prime form and is capable of doing that, it'll be fucking hilarious. Because Walz says off-the-wall fucking shit all the time. Trans the kids, socialism is neighborliness, yeah, we're coming for your guns. Oh, there's so much fodder to exploit. And Vance also has a very linear and quite logistic way of speaking, you may have noticed. I think that he can do it. I don't think that there's any real competition. Just make sure that you show up in prime form, because you don't just want to win. You want a crushing defeat for your enemy. Just absolutely lay waste to them. This is what I want for the Trump campaign in general. It's like, okay, if you win in a squeaker, that's fine. At least you won. You want to have a referendum on your political foes. Absolutely goddamn annihilate them. Don't make any mistakes. Listen to good advice when you get it, and just go forth and just fucking clobber their campaign, because really, I don't think that we can economically withstand another 4 years of Bidenomics or Kamalanomics without slipping into a deep recession and a housing crisis at this point. And that's not what I want. I mean, what's going to happen to my small town? I already saw it devastated by the Great Recession. And then a bunch of second home buyers, they came in because, I mean, you know, half the houses were foreclosed. They bought up all the properties. And renters, landlords, they bought up a bunch of properties because they could weather it. They had the capital. And they could get the loans and everything else. They bought half of fucking Rutland. You know, no offense to the Fuchsia Company, but Jesus Christ, you've got an awful lot of fucking properties, and they're scattered all over the goddamn town. Technically city, but really it's a town. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen again. So, Godspeed to J.D. Vance. Crush him. You know, literally decimate him. That's what I want to see. I want to see some blood sport style debating from Vance. That's about all. Peace out.